Anger is fire. Sometimes it burns in silence. Other times it explodes and leaves ashes behind. Relationships, trust, peace. The Stoics believed that anger is not a force we must surrender to, but a signal we must understand. In a world that glorifies reaction, the Stoic teaches us restraint. This is not suppression. It is mastery. This is the Stoic method to control your anger. Anger often feels like it controls us. It arrives without permission, tightens our chest, quickens our breath, and sharpens our words. But what is it really? According to the Stoics, anger is not an external force. It is a judgment. A belief that something wrong has occurred, and that we are entitled to react. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? The event that provokes us is fleeting, but our reaction, that can last a lifetime." The Stoics encourage us to observe this emotional storm not as victims, but as philosophers. To understand anger is to understand ourselves. Why did that comment hurt? Why does delay irritate us? Anger, in the Stoic view, is rarely about the other person. It's a mirror, showing us what we cling to, what we fear, and where we are still vulnerable. Modern neuroscience agrees. The amygdala, the brain's emotional core, lights up in milliseconds. But there's a pause, a gap, before we act. In that gap lies our freedom. The Stoic method begins by widening that space. You are not your anger. You are the awareness that notices it. You can choose to breathe, step back, and reflect before it becomes destructive speech or action. Seneca called anger a temporary madness, and madness, when seen clearly, can be cured. The first step to control is to name it. Anger, disappointment, resentment. Behind every storm is a sky waiting to clear. Identify the emotion without shame. That's what a Stoic does. No denial, just disciplined observation. And then, let it be. Don't suppress it. Don't indulge it. Watch it. The Stoics did not aim to kill emotion, but to master it. And all mastery begins with awareness. The Stoics trained themselves in one sacred habit, pausing before reacting. Epictetus, once a slave, became a master of inner freedom. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Imagine, someone insults you. Your ego flares. You want to respond, to win. But a Stoic breathes, inhales the insult, exhales detachment. This pause is not weakness. It is strength in disguise. In this moment of pause, you ask, is this within my control? If it is, take thoughtful action. If it isn't, let it go. Anger loses its grip when we realize we are not obligated to entertain every provocation. Science supports this too. Cognitive behavioral therapy, deeply influenced by Stoic thought, teaches that between stimulus and response is a choice. That choice, practiced daily, becomes a habit, and habit becomes character. The pause is where self-ownership begins, where you stop being a puppet of emotion and start becoming the sculptor of your own response. The Stoic is not cold. They are composed, not passive, but poised. Think of it as martial arts for the mind. When provoked, you don't strike first. You observe the attack, absorb its energy, and redirect it skillfully. Anger wants you to react. Stoicism asks you to respond, with reason. In the pause, we reclaim our dignity. We refuse to be hijacked by temporary emotion. We remember that every moment is a test of our philosophy. And we pass that test, not with silence, but with inner clarity. The Stoics believed we suffer more in our interpretations than in reality. When someone cuts you off in traffic, they did not insult your existence. They just changed lanes. When your friend forgets a promise, maybe they forgot, not betrayed. Seneca advised, "A wise man is content with himself." He understood that most of our anger arises from assumptions. They meant to hurt me. They disrespected me. They should have known better. These are stories we tell ourselves. But they are not facts. To control anger, rewrite the narrative. Instead of "they're attacking me," try "maybe they're struggling. Maybe they're unaware. Maybe it's not about me at all." This reframing is not naivety. It is liberation. Empathy dissolves anger like water quenches fire. It softens the edges of our judgments. It helps us see others not as enemies, but as humans, imperfect, just like us. This perspective shift activates the brain's prefrontal cortex, the seat of rational thinking, and quiets the emotional surge of the amygdala, ancient wisdom, proven by modern science. In reframing the offense, we also reclaim our peace. The Stoics remind us, we cannot control others, only our perception. So why let someone's bad behavior poison your state of mind? What you choose to believe about a situation is more powerful than the situation itself. Every offense is a fork in the road, bitterness or understanding, anger or growth. The choice is yours. Anger thrives in fragile minds. The Stoics trained their minds like soldiers train their bodies, with discipline, exposure, and repetition. Daily reflections, voluntary hardship, negative visualization. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings reminding himself, "Today, I will meet people who are selfish, arrogant, deceitful, not to grow bitter, but to remain prepared." If you expect the world to be perfect, every imperfection becomes a threat. But if you expect challenge, you remain unshaken. This is premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. It builds mental calluses. When you are ready for insult, you don't flinch. You remain steady. Modern resilience psychology mirrors this. Exposure to discomfort, in thought or experience, makes us more tolerant, less reactive. The Stoics were early cognitive scientists, building immunity to emotional chaos. This doesn't mean accepting abuse. It means knowing your center so well that no storm can move you. The more anchored you are, the less control anger has over you. Think of your mind as a fortress. What you allow in, what you guard against, shapes your inner state. The Stoic protects peace like a warrior guards the gate. Not through aggression, but through awareness. So practice stillness daily. Meditate. Reflect. Expect life's thorns. And when anger knocks, you'll greet it. Not with fear, but with silence. Anger is seductive. It makes us feel righteous, powerful, alive. But this is illusion. Most anger is rooted in ego, a fragile sense of self threatened by reality. The Stoics aimed to transcend this. True strength, they believed, is not in reacting, but in rising above reaction, to live by reason, to let the inner logos, the divine rational order, guide action over impulse. This doesn't mean being emotionless. It means not being owned by emotions. Emotions are weather. You are the sky. Let them pass, without clinging or resisting. Living above emotion is living from clarity. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." Every insult is a chance to train. Every offense, a classroom. So ask yourself, will this matter in a day, a month, a year? Most anger fades in hindsight. The Stoic sees now what others only see later, that peace is always the better choice. This way of being creates not just calm, but dignity. You become a person who radiates stability. Others trust your presence, and most importantly, you trust yourself. To control your anger is to reclaim your power. The power to choose, to respond, to live freely, not ruled by emotion, but guided by wisdom. Behind most anger hides the ego. We don't rage at reality. We rage at what we believe it says about us. An insult isn't just noise. It's a perceived threat to who we think we are. Stoics knew this well. The more fragile your sense of self, the more easily the world can wound you. Epictetus reminds us, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. The insult cannot hurt, unless your ego clings to the idea that it must never be challenged. So we must ask, what part of me is offended? The wise answer, the part I need to outgrow. Modern psychology confirms this. The concept of ego threat reveals that anger spikes when our self-image is attacked. But what if we no longer needed to defend the self? What if the Stoic practice of humility, of seeing the self as fluid, not fixed, could dissolve that threat? The more rigid your identity, the more often you will feel insulted. But the Stoic lets go. You are not your title, not your achievements, not your pride. You are simply a reasoning being trying to live in accordance with nature. So when someone criticizes you, pause. Ask, is this about me? Or is this just their pain, their perception, their moment of ignorance? Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. You are not here to protect the ego. You are here to grow beyond it." Anger loses its grip when we realize we have nothing to prove. Let go of the image. Let go of the need to win every argument. Choose inner freedom over outer validation. Choose philosophy over pride, because the more ego you release, the more peace you gain. It's easy to be stoic alone on a mountain. It's much harder at the dinner table during conflict or when someone you love disappoints you. This is where philosophy is tested, in the quiet tension of daily life. Most anger in relationships is fueled by expectation. They should understand me. They should have known. They should never act like this. The Stoics warn us, expectation is the enemy of peace. Seneca wrote, "He who expects nothing is never disappointed." Instead of demanding perfection from others, we must first recognize their nature. People are flawed. They forget. They hurt. They act from fear, from stress, from wounds unseen. This does not excuse harm, but it explains behavior. And understanding calms the flame of reaction. Epictetus advised, when someone does wrong, say to yourself, he acted from ignorance. Not out of malice, but from unawareness. This mental reframe creates room for empathy, for boundary setting without rage, for dialogue without destruction. The Stoic doesn't suppress anger in relationships. They transform it into clarity. When emotions rise, they wait, they write, they reflect before they speak. They don't allow a moment's heat to burn bridges they've spent years building. This isn't passivity, it's discipline. Emotional restraint doesn't make us cold. It makes us trustworthy. Your partner, your friend, your family, they don't need your wrath, they need your wisdom. So the next time you're about to explode at someone close, try softness, try silence, try a breath instead of a blow. Your calm may heal more than your fury ever could. Controlling anger is not a one-time decision. It is a daily discipline, a way of living, a mental muscle that must be trained over time. The Stoics didn't wait for anger to strike. They prepared their minds every morning and examined them every night. This is where practice begins. Marcus Aurelius, each dawn, reminded himself, "Today, I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness." This is not pessimism. It is mental readiness. When insult comes, you won't be surprised. You'll be prepared. Evening journaling is another Stoic ritual. At day's end, reflect. Where did I lose control today? What provoked me? What could I have done differently? This gentle review is not self-punishment. It's self-correction. Modern neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity. The brain changes through repeated thought. The Stoics practiced this before science had words for it. The more you train your response, the more automatic calm becomes. Voluntary discomfort is another path. Seneca advised practicing discomfort, fasting, walking in the cold, facing inconvenience, to develop mental toughness. When you're used to discomfort, anger from small annoyances becomes laughable. So, train, breathe, journal. Visualize difficulty, rehearse your response. The mind, like the body, becomes what it repeatedly does. Let every insult, delay, or offense be an opportunity to train strength. Because when the storm hits, you'll be ready. Not with fists, not with rage, but with clarity and calm. Imagine a life where anger no longer rules you, where the insult rolls off like rain from stone. That life is not far away. It is built, moment by moment, with every pause, every breath, every decision to rise above. Start your practice today. Not to be perfect, but to be better. The Stoics were not born calm. They trained for it. So can you. If this message stayed with you, imagine what practicing it daily could do to your life. Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. Not to escape life, but to master it.